What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Watch Us Thrive podcast. This is your girl, Leanne, and I am back with a long overdue solo episode. Where do I even begin? Lord Jesus. Now, if you guys follow me on Instagram, if not, what are you doing? Follow me at Watch Us Thrive podcast. I was on one this past weekend, and for very well good reason. I don't think I've posted that much on social media in a very long time, in a very short time span. Let's backtrack a little bit. So, if you've been living under a fucking rock and you are unaware of what transpired this past weekend, let's do a little bit of a breakdown as to why I'm even recording this conversation. So, this past weekend, I believe it was Friday afternoon, CNN, which is a very well known national news source, released a shocking video of Diddy, Puff Daddy, Brother Love, whatever stupid ass fucking name he's calling himself nowadays, physically assaulting Cassie when they were in a relationship back in 2016 when they were staying at a hotel. When I first came across that video, I was shocked but not surprised, if that makes sense. Because since this whole scandal started back in November of 2023, when she first put out the civil lawsuit against him, accusing him of all of these really horrific things, including physically abusing her on multiple occasions, I believed her. Immediately when that first came out, I believed her. Being a survivor of domestic violence, I am biased when it comes to my outlook on things when victims come out and speak up against their abusers. And if you know, you know about that motherfucker. He has a very long track record of being a piece of shit person and has been accused of many horrible things throughout the years. I believed every single word that came out. Every single word that was in that lawsuit, even though I didn't read all of the papers, but I did see bits and pieces, I believed it, right? So when this video came out this past Friday, I was not surprised because I believed her. Like, I didn't need a video to be like, "Oh, okay, now what she's saying, like, now there's solidified proof to go with the accusations that he's dealing with, right?" But nevertheless, not to downplay it, like, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's very triggering to watch that, especially being someone who's gone through similar things in my own experiences. My heart broke for her. Like, I felt every single kick, every single drag, and there was no audio. I can only just imagine what he was saying to her, right? So, the empath in me, I felt so sorry for her. Like, it broke my fucking heart. But it also fired me the fuck up. Like, immediately when I saw it, I screen recorded the entire 2 minutes and 40 something seconds, put my trigger warning because it is very graphic, and I appreciate that CNN did put a trigger warning before posting it, not just throwing it out there, because you need to be sensitive with when it comes to things like this. And I posted it. I posted it on my social media, and that started the conversation. Just being able to relate so much to this is something that we need to be talking about more. I did notice after a few weeks with the trends that come and go, it was very quiet around the whole situation that started back in November. A lot of people were not talking about it anymore. It was just another news headline that eventually faded away. And that's frustrating, right? Because I think that's something that a lot of us, victims and survivors of abuse, can definitely relate to. Like, just sweeping shit under the rug, pretending like it's not happening, moving on to the next thing. That's super frustrating. So when this video came back out, I appreciated it, even though it was horrible to watch. but I appreciated that it reinvigorated the conversation. It revived the conversation that we need to be having. And this is why on this platform, the Watch Us Thrive podcast, I say it all the time. I am not only going to be talking about domestic violence 1 month out of the year in October for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. While I appreciate so much that there is a dedicated time frame, that the conversation is being had a lot more, people are talking about it more, raising awareness, doing all these events and sponsorships and all this. I love that. I love it, right? I'm not downplaying that. But this is a conversation. This is a situation. These are scenarios that are constantly happening day in and day out throughout the entire year. Okay, I didn't want to butcher the stats. So this is directly from the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I'm going to put resources in the show notes, but the website is thehotline.org. So, according to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, on average, 24 people per minute, 24 people per minute are victims of rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner. And this is only in the United States. The numbers are staggering globally, right? But I'm talking about in the United States because that's where I live. Nearly 3 in 10 women, about 29%, in the US have experienced rape, physical violence, or stalking by a partner and reported it having a related impact on how they function. Just under 15% of women have been injured as a result of intimate partner violence. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7. Usually, the stats that I see is 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 women, and about 1 in 7 men, age 18 and older in the United States, have been victims of severe physical violence. And intimate partner violence or domestic violence, domestic abuse, whatever you want to call it, affects more than 12 million people per year. So, shout out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline for they have so many more statistics. Definitely recommend you guys check it out and just, increase your knowledge around this. But as you can see from just a small amount of stats, this is happening every single fucking day. And I appreciate the fact that this is now being brought to the forefront. And I pray to God that this starts to shift the narrative of having these types of relationship be kept wrapped under, brushed under the rug. Behind closed doors, we're not going to talk about it because it's so uncomfortable. It's so triggering. Yeah, the fuck it is. Absolutely. 1000%. But the only way, in my personal opinion, on how we can start to shift the narrative around this is to put it in people's faces, is to talk about it, is to show the ugly truth like that video, and to be like, this is not fucking normal. To be in this type of relationship is not okay. And I sympathize so much for Cassie and for myself and for all the other victims and survivors that I've met and I haven't come across, and just anyone who can relate, who can see themselves in this story. Like, there's so many of us who are struggling day in and day out. Even if you've gotten out, even if you're happily married and in a new relationship like she is, like, I'm so certain that she's still struggling with this. I mean, look at how long it took for her to find the strength within herself to go public, especially when it was coming from someone of his status and power. I appreciate this conversation happening because too many of us are suffering in silence, and too many of us do not have the platform or the reach in order to reach, the globe. This is something that so many of us are talking about. Like, being online and just seeing the algorithm pushes that shit out once you fixate on a specific topic. And literally, my entire timeline for the whole weekend has just been this, and seeing so many different opinions. A lot of them were Team Cassie, right? And if you can't tell which side I'm on, then clearly you're not listening. But, there was definitely some trolls out there, some supporters of that asshole. And It's just really infuriating for me to see, and I there's only so much that I can write in a caption. There's only so much that I can say on a 90-second reel. Like, this is something that I knew I had to plug up my mic and just get the thoughts that are out and out for y'all to take in. So, but yeah, I think it's so triggering to have to see what it is that she went through. And that's just a small snippet of what has come to light. I can only imagine the hell that she's endured for years, right? Like, this is just a small thing that we saw. And I don't want to say small in a way that I'm like downplaying it or it's not that serious, quote unquote, because it is that fucking serious. Like, that man was stomping her the fuck out like she was a homeless dog on the street and didn't give one fuck about her, right? Like, it was just disgusting. But again, I saw so much victim blaming. I saw this one comment on my Threads account that was like, "See, Cassie, this is why you should take the stairs." Like, making mockery and making a joke of it. I just don't understand what the fuck is wrong with some of y'all. And that is coming from a woman. Granted, I can understand if a man would say something like that because men are very insensitive. Not all. Some men are very insensitive when it comes to these issues. Some men out here simply just fucking hate women. So for that type of comment to come through from someone of the opposite sex, that would make a little bit more sense to me, in my opinion. But for that, for a woman to say that about another woman, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I think I wrote a comment like, "You can't really be this fucking stupid," something like that. It's super frustrating. It's super annoying just to see how small minded a lot of people are and how ignorant and how desensitized a lot of people in society are when it comes to this. That's just super frustrating and it's super triggering again for people, small people like us, that don't have a following, that don't have a platform, are not on that type of level. It's like you're really just taking away from our own experience when you say stupid shit like that. So check yourself before you write something online just for clout and views and clicks. Like, you're a disgusting fucking human being if you have that type of rhetoric and narrative around something so sensitive like this. Like, this is someone's real life experience. This is not a fucking joke. This is not AI. This is not something that was just like, let's just put this together and see, what can come from. No, this is her lived fucking experience. Like, have some fucking decency, you asshole. Sorry, not sorry. Fuck that. I'm not apologizing for how the fuck I feel. So all of that happened, right? That was on Friday. And then yesterday, I'm recording on Monday. So the day before, yesterday, this motherfucker, we're talking about Diddy, had the audacity, had the cojones, had the fucking nerve to put out a quote unquote apology statement on his Instagram. Now I'm gonna play it for y'all and then I'm going to get into that. And we're gonna play it in like 1x or 2x speed because there was a lot of dramatic pauses in the video. So we're gonna hurry it the fuck along and then we'll get into it.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, or go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
There's one thing that I can agree with him on. I'm fucking disgusted. Now, before we get into that bullshit ass fucking apology, I want to take things back a little bit, right? Because when it comes to social media, there will always be motherfucking receipts. And when it comes to you just doing shit and thinking you can get away with it, I live by the phrase, everything that's done in the dark will always come to the light, right? Like all the nasty shit that you do, that you hide from, that you think is not going to ever see the light of day. One thing's for certain, two things for sure. Karma, we love her. We fucking love her, right? So, with that being said, on December 6th, 2023, I want to say a couple weeks after the whole civil lawsuit by Cassie was filed, things were put out there. This motherfucker and his team decided to put out a statement. So we're going to read it verbatim. Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation, and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear, colon. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for my truth. Signed, Sean Diddy Combs. What happened to Brother Love?
Y'all, I have some very serious news. I've been praying on this, and I decided, I know it was risky because I knew it could come off as corny to some people. Like, yo, I decided to change my name again. I'm just not who I am before. I'm something different. So my new name is Love, aka Brother Love. I will not be answering to Puffy, Diddy, Puff Daddy, or any of my other monikers, but Love or Brother Love, okay? It's my birthday. I feel good. God is the greatest. I give all glory, and I thank my mama and daddy. Mwah!
I thought you was Brother Love. You know, you was showing that was your legal fucking name change. Oh, now you're back to Diddy? Fucking joke. That was a little over 5 months ago to the day. And now you was hiding behind that, right? Saying that shit with your whole chest. I didn't do it. She's looking for a payday, even though he didn't actually say her name. But these women are looking for a quick payday. They're trying to take me down. But now that there's clear-cut evidence that you thought was never gonna see the light of day, now it's like, oh shit. Now I gotta take responsibility for the shit that I said I didn't do. Now I have to say that this is something that I actually did do. What do you call that? A fucking hypocrite? Yeah, I think so. Yesterday, when I saw that, I was so enraged. I was literally on my way back home from the supermarket getting me a nice lunch for me and my mom and my daughter. And I saw that shit and I had to pull over because I felt like everything in me was just on go. Like I wanted to fight. That's how fucking angry I was. Because me, again, being biased because I am a survivor and I know exactly how Cassie is feeling, I saw right through the bullshit in that statement, in that video, and watching it and looking specifically at his eyes. Like, I'm someone who has always been, I can feel people's energies and I can read people. I think that might be a Virgo trait. I don't know. But for Leanne personally, I can see through the bullshit immediately. Especially like if it's someone that I'm first meeting, like I can come across you and be like, mm. Or I could be like, yo, this person is fucking dope, right? Watching him and the long dramatic pauses and the little mist underneath his eye and the turned down frown. Be so fucking for real. Like, please, the crocodile tears, we don't believe you. You need more people. Right? Like, I was just so annoyed that he even decided, him and his fucking team decided to put that out. because he's not sorry for what he did. He's only sorry that it was put out there and people actually saw him for who the fuck he is. That is him at his core. That is his actual personality. All this other shit, the brother love, the Diddy, the daddy, the whatever the fuck. Like, these are just personas that he's hiding his true self from. That video, that is his true identity. And what infuriated me even more around that bullshit ass apology is the audacity that he had to not take accountability. Let me explain. Not once did he address Cassie directly. Like, keep that same energy like you had in that video. Say that shit with your whole entire chest, like you did in that video. Address the actual person who was affected in that video, if you really about it, right? That's fucking one. Two, he started it off with, I was fucked up. I was fucked up. I was in a dark place. That right there is, you're taking away the complete ownership of what the fuck it is that you did, because you're using that as an excuse. Even though later on he said there is no excuse. That right there is a motherfucking excuse. What you should have said is, that was me. I did that. Yes, I absolutely did that. 100%. The fact that the word but, B-U-T, was anywhere in that statement, you're justifying your bullshit fucking actions. I'm sorry, but I went to therapy. I'm sorry, but I'm asking God for his grace and his forgiveness. I'm sorry, but I was in a really dark place and I was abusing drugs and alcohol and XYZ, whatever fucking bullshit excuse he wants to use. It's like, come on, bro. You could have kept that in the archives. You could have been like, you know what? Let's try to re-record this. Let's try to, wet our face again and take more deep, dark pauses and try again, because that was not fucking it. And this goes with a clip that I want to share with y'all that I saw on my TikTok from The Breakfast Club, from Charlemagne the God. Not a fan of him, but that's neither here nor there. But they have this segment that's called The Donkey of the Day. And it's basically just like airing out people who do really stupid shit and telling you about yourself in a sense. And today's Donkey of the Day was about that whole situation. So I want to play it for you guys. And, they really articulated it in a way that I respect. I think it was very well said. My sentiments exactly. So I want to play it for you guys, and then we'll break it down a little bit more.
Donkey of the Day for Monday, May 20th goes to Sean Combs. Not just Sean Combs, but the Bad Boy as a staff, record label, and mother effing crew, because y'all been enabling this kind of behavior for a long time. And clearly, after watching this apology video, and I put apology in air quotes, y'all are still enabling him. But let's start from the beginning. On Friday afternoon, a video from 2016 was released to CNN. And in the video, it shows Sean Combs viciously attacking and beating his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. When I saw that video, I was disgusted and disappointed. Like Diddy need his ass beat. Like, I wish Cassie would have had a gun on her and would have shot him right there on the spot. That's my initial reaction, because that's how I always feel when I see situations like this. And then there's this weird sense of grief, because it is Diddy, right? Diddy is a hip-hop hero. He's an ordinary person who did extraordinary things. To sit here and act like the man wasn't a huge part of our upbringing is a damn lie. So there's this weird sense of grief. Like, another one of our heroes has ruined their legacy, and it's their own fault because of poor choices? A lot of different emotions. But then yesterday, Sean Combs decided to apologize. Now, when I first watched that video, I said to myself, Negro, please. Okay, he's not sorry. He's sorry that video leaked. And he's sorry he got caught. See, up until that video being released, Sean Combs was denying everything. Sean Combs put out a press release. They put out a press release. Him and his team. His lawyer has been screaming since all these allegations have come out that this is a witch hunt. Diddy is innocent. And these people are looking for a quick payday. You let your son put out that weak-ass record, Pick a Side, taunting the FBI, basically telling people, keep that same energy when the smoke clears. Diddy, you posted on your page, time tells all. Yes, it does, sir. And it has told us that you are a liar. Okay, this is what I mean when I say people wake up every day and just volunteer lies. Diddy, how are we supposed to believe anything that comes out of your mouth? And furthermore, why should we not believe the rumors of things going in your mouth when you out here volunteering bold-faced lies? You would still be lying to us right now if it was no video. You didn't even apologize to Cassie in the video. Nor did you apologize for lying that you didn't do what you knew you was on tape doing. So who was this apology for? I'll tell you who it was for. Diddy's ego, Diddy's brand. Diddy and his handlers are looking at this all wrong. You trying to salvage his professional career. Let me be the first to tell you that's a wrap. Okay, you can't take away nothing Diddy has done professionally. Those records stand. You can't rewrite history. But Diddy, your motto was forever can't stop, won't stop. It's time to stop. Okay, because it has stopped, all right? There's nothing else for you to do other than deal with the consequences of your actions. I don't even know what all the actions are, but you do. You can't run from yourself. You was trying to the last few weeks to run from yourself. Hell, you knew this tape existed since 2016. So you've actually been running from yourself for years. I don't care how many times you change your name. I don't care how many times you tell us you changing your frequency. The best apology in life will always be changed behavior. You can't tell us your behavior has changed when up until yesterday, you were still willing to lie to the people about who you are and what you have done. Diddy shouldn't be worried about the general public right now. In fact, you shouldn't worry about the general public ever again because that's over. The trust is gone. Thought I told you that we won't stop? You must have been talking about lying to yourself because that's the only reason you would still keep any of this going. What's the saying? Trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. Diddy, you 54. Okay, you don't have forever. So while you still here, you need to be focusing on repairing your soul. You need to be focusing on whatever damage you have caused your lineage, your family, and other people. If you and your team are still sitting around trying to figure out how to keep the business going, if you're sitting around worrying about your professional life more than your personal life, then you just need to do us all the biggest favor and turn yourself in for who knows whatever other crimes you have committed that we don't know about because you can't play with God. Okay, you can lie to your family, you can lie to the general public, but you can't lie to God and you can't lie to yourself. And you know better. What happens when you know better but still don't choose better? You experiencing that right now, Sean. You was 46 in that video that we saw. You knew better, but you chose not to do better. And guess what? You can't run from yourself. Sean Combs, you've been running from yourself for a long time. That's why you keep changing your name. The drugs, the money, the liquor, the women, the nonstop party. That's all you running from yourself. But now, all that has come to an end. And if it hasn't, it better. Okay, you can't just keep changing the top layer. You got to do some real internal work, and you have all the money, all the resources to have access to the best everything. Stop spending the money and using the resources to attempt to cover up your lies, and start using the money and the resources to deal with your truth.
I mean, that was an entire word. Whoever wrote that, I don't know if it was him, Charlemagne the God specifically, or his team, whatever, whoever on the Breakfast Club. I could not have said it better myself. And I think that's what's the most frustrating part is you're not taking accountability on what it is that you fucking did. You are literally not saying, hey guys, I'm sorry for lying. I'm sorry for saying that I didn't do what was actually shown. Like, that's the frustrating part. That's the part that you're not taking any ownership over. Right? You didn't apologize for lying. You didn't apologize to Cassie. The only reason why you're apologizing is because we saw it. Because you knew this situation was going on for 8 fucking years. You knew that video was out. And in the civil lawsuit that Cassie filed back in November, there is a written part of this entire situation that literally writes it out verbatim. On this day in March of 2016, they were in a hotel. He's chasing her out, dragging her, throwing a vase at her. Like, we saw all of that. So you knew that this was the reality. You knew that this happened. But then you boldface lied to the whole entire world saying, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. But now you're sorry that you did it, but you're not saying, why the fuck are you sorry? Make it make sense. And I think it was so beautifully said on the Breakfast Club that this is all about his ego. The very trendy word that everyone loves to use is he's a narcissist, blah, blah, blah. But literally, if you've seen him throughout the years, especially my generation. Like, we grew up with this man, right? He was always very about self, always in your face, always showing off, always like walking around with this godlike complex. Can't stop, won't stop. I'm untouchable. Take that, all that shit, right? So he's sorry that his legacy is burned to the fucking ground, as it should be, in my opinion. This is very well deserved. I mean, it got to the point I saw a screenshot on my Threads account that his clothing line company, SeanJohn.com, is no more. Like, they took it down. There is no SeanJohn.com anymore. It's a dead website. And I was like, I love that. Like, this is what I want to see. This is what I want to see. This is what I want to see. Very fucking well deserved. 1000% very fucking well deserved. You are sorry that you're losing everything that you built and everything that you've taken, because we know in this fucking entertainment industry, fucking Hollyweird, it's all very cutthroat. It's like, you take from this person, you hurt that person, you do this, that, and the third. That's very well documented. Aside from just this person, just in general, we know it's a very ugly world. But good on fucking you that you lose all this shit and the people that you've hurt are getting some sort of justice in seeing your throne being burned down to the fucking ground. That's how I feel. That's how I feel, guys. This is my opinion. This is my podcast. I'm going to say what the fuck I want to say, how I want to say it. Right? But it's just, I don't believe you. Never did, never will. In my eyes, there is no coming back. I think you are a disgusting excuse for a human being. I think you're a fucking monster. I think you have no soul. I think you sold your soul to the devil. And this is not in any way, shape, or form on some religious shit. Because don't even get me started with the fucking Christians. Don't even get me fucking started with that, all right? Don't even get me started with that. Because the amount of fucking support I'm seeing from Christians, stop. Okay? We're not even going to go down that fucking rabbit hole. But you reap what you sow and you get what the fuck you deserve. And I pray and I wish you the most miserable rest of your time on this living earth. And even in the afterlife, I wish you the most miserable experience forever, because that's what you deserve. The way that you stomped out that poor fucking woman, the way that you dragged her, the way that I know you called her the nastiest things that you could call her. And I know that this is not an isolated incident. I know this is not just this happened one time and I'm sorry, it's never going to happen again. No, fuck that. This is a repeated pattern that you chose to do day in and day out. We've seen it with Making the Band. We've seen it with Danity Kane. We've seen it with Day 26. If you know, you've seen the type of abusive piece of shit that person has been. This is who you are. So own it. Own who the fuck you are. Right? Take some accountability for that. Yes, I am a monster. Yes, I'm an abuser. Yes, I've treated many women like crap. I mean, I truly believe that he killed Tupac and he killed his ex-wife, Kim Porter. I'm saying it. I'm putting it out there. He has something to do with it. His hands are fucking dirty. And may you sulk and live in the shit that you have created for the rest of your existence on this earth and in the afterlife. I said what the fuck I said. Enough about him, because I definitely don't want to leave this conversation feeling dark and heavy and, with these feelings that I'm having in real time. And this is why I wanted to record a podcast episode to get them out, because it's very heavy, right? Like, just being able to relate to her story, it takes a lot on you, right? So I definitely want to shift the narrative now into a more positive light. And I came across this beautiful TikTok video. Like, if y'all been here for a while and you know how my solo episodes are, I get a lot of inspiration from the internet. I get a lot of inspiration from the people, and especially my TikTok For You page. It's fucking amazing. I love my For You page on TikTok because while it has some bullshit, of course, and because that's just life, but there are so many beautiful creatives out there who have such inspiring messages. And this one was going to coincide perfectly with this episode. So I want to get his information. Of course, we're going to link it in the show notes so you guys can check him out. But he is, I don't really know who he is. This is my first time that I ever came across him. This is what it says according to his Instagram. His full time job is a vibe curator. I love that. His part time job is a TikTok ranter. So obviously he's a content creator, and his at is JSTNFRTT. Justin is his first name. And when I came across this video on TikTok, the message behind it was so powerful. And that's what I want to leave you guys with today. So let's play it and then let's break it down a little bit more.
Y'all know I see this stuff with Cassie, and it really broke my heart. But it opened my eyes to something that I've always known. For some of us, we have a greater purpose. And we don't know what God has planned, but we do know that it will be grand. Let me say that again for 2 seconds. For some of us, we were put on the earth with a greater purpose. We don't know what God has planned, but we do know that it will be grand. And I believe in my hearts of hearts that though this is a tragic situation, it's a disgusting situation, her pain will not go in vain. And what's going to happen is her story will be the flashlight for many women suffering and going through the struggles of abuse, the struggles of violence within relationship. Her story will be the flashlight for them to get through the darkness. You don't know what God has planned, but you do know it will be grand. And she has the grand stage for us to have a deep learning lesson. I don't care how much fame he got. I don't care how much money he got. I don't care how much reach he got. When you do wrong, you must meet Judgment Day. When you do wrong, you must be punished the way you are supposed to be punished. And may this also teach y'all to understand something. Just because you have a good relationship with somebody doesn't mean how their relationship with other folks is good. Just because you have strategically shown me yourself in a good light does not mean that you're a good person. Being good is a choice. It's not a character trait. I'm nice to who I choose to be nice to. And I operate in a certain fashion based on who I choose to operate that way with. God bless my sister. And if there's any women watching this who are going through the depths of this right now, free yourself, lean on community, call who you need to call, get the help you need to get. We don't know what God has planned, but I do believe it will be grand.
Whew. Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. Louder for the people in the back. When I heard that, I was so moved. I was so like, yes, 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 absolutely. And it really makes me think about this platform of what I've created. A lot of you guys know my story. A lot of you guys know that I was in an abusive relationship. A lot of you guys know that he almost killed me. And that was the most traumatic thing to this day that I've ever gone through. And it's something that has completely changed my personality. It is something that has created the woman that I am today. I've said this before, being a guest on other people's podcasts, and I've had this question asked to me like, are you grateful for what you went through? And being who I am today, I can absolutely 1000% say yes. And it may not make sense for someone who's currently in the throes of dealing with an abusive relationship, whether it's romantic, whether it's with a family member, whether it's at that fucking shitty job that you hate. There's so many levels when it comes to dealing with violence and abuse. If I hadn't have gone through what I went through, and if I hadn't experienced what I experienced, and if I hadn't had this trauma happen to me, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be having this conversation. I wouldn't have the passion and the drive inside of me to put this in people's faces. This would not be. So for that, I am so grateful for what I went through. And I think that's such a beautiful message. Like when he said, I wrote it down. We don't know what God has planned, but we do know that it will be grand. Like I had no clue when I first went through that experience, coming back home after living on my own, coming back to live with my parents, reuniting with my daughter, losing my apartment, losing my car. Everything that was inside of that apartment was gone. I just got fired from my job 2 weeks before everything happened. I was on unemployment. It was during the pandemic. I was fucking furloughed, had no money. Like, I literally felt broken. Like, I felt like a failure. I felt ashamed. I felt angry. I was sad. I was disappointed in myself. I held on a lot of guilt. There were so many ugly feelings that I felt, but I had to go through that to get to this point right now. And I know that my purpose, my life's purpose, was born through that ugly, painful situation that I went through. Like, I had to go through that to really get to know who I am. I've gotten to know the relationship that I have with myself on such a deep personal level that I've never experienced before. And it took for me to almost lose my life for me to wake the fuck up and be like, whoa, whoa, this, we do not have forever. We do not have forever when it comes to being on this earth. And like, what am I doing with my life? I'm just barely living. I was in survival mode for the entirety of my adult life that I can remember. And it's because of what I went through that, like, yo, God had a bigger plan for me. But I had to go through the fucking mud and the pain to be able to be this woman who is before you today, that you're listening to, that you're watching, that you're taking in. And that is such a beautiful realization to have. And it's something that's taken me a while to really come to terms with. Like, I had to go through this. I had to experience this to be this woman today. And I'm so fucking proud of who I am. I'm so proud of this community that I have built. I am so proud of every single person that I have connected with and I will continue to connect with. Y'all don't even know what's happening behind the scenes that I cannot announce yet. But once I do, baby, oh my gosh, I'm like itching to announce this major thing that is happening behind the scenes. Of course, once it's okay to be announced, it will. But y'all, because of what the fuck I went through, look at me now. That is why specifically named this platform Watch Us Thrive. Because you can 1,000 trillion bazillion percent turn the ugly shit that you've gone through into the most beautiful thing that you have ever experienced. And I now realize, especially after seeing that video, like it just clicked for me. It clicked. It was like, this right here is why. And I pray to God that Cassie and any other woman, and I'm speaking specifically for women. I understand that others are victims of abuse, but my target audience is women. I'm a woman. I'm speaking to y'all right now. I want you to know that you can live the most beautiful life ever after dealing with the ugliest thing that you could have gone through. And I pray to God that this conversation continues to happen. I'm so sorry for what Cassie experienced. I'm so sorry for what I experienced and for all the others out there, big, small, everyone in between who has or is going through this. I'm so sorry. And I hold so much space and love and healing and light for you. But this doesn't have to be your be all end all. And I want you to remember that. I want you to know that you can take your power back. You can fight back against this piece of shit person who's hurting you. You can turn this into your power. You can. You have the choice to do it, right? And I know it's so difficult. Everyone's circumstances are so different. Like her, she waited so many years because of his status, his power, his money. It's so difficult, right? But you have to remember that, like, you matter. Like, I'm getting hella close to the mic right now. You fucking matter, babe. And I want you to know that you can turn it around. You can lean on your support system. If you don't have one, find one. There's a support system right here in this community. Come around, share your story, open up, comment, share, like, all of those things. Speak up and tell us what you've gone through. And just know that you don't have to go through this journey by yourself. I have not gotten to this point today on my own. I've had a lot of help and I'm continuing my journey of help. I just announced this yesterday. I'm going back to therapy. Yep, your girl is going back to therapy. I signed up with my sponsored link that you can also use, betterhelp.com/watch us thrive podcast to receive 10% off your first month. Sign up today. Shameless plug. But this whole thing that transpired this past weekend, and even weeks before, I've had this thought in my head that, like, there's still work that needs to be done, even though I've done a lot of work and I've changed from who I was when I was in that relationship 3 years ago. Definitely complete 180. But there's still work that needs to be done. There's still hard days that I struggle through. There's still moments where there's fear, especially now with knowing that my ex is getting out of prison this year. There's a lot of feelings that I have come to the realization that I've been suppressing and I've been not wanting to face and not wanting to deal with. And that is a very unhealthy way for me to cope with my shit. And I realized that, like, I'm trying not to think about it, I'm trying to ignore it. But in the back of my mind, I was saying this to one of my best friends the other day, that there's this invisible, like, countdown clock in my head that it's like one day closer to him getting out. And not dealing with those feelings is not healthy for me. But I also realized that I don't need to do this work by myself. So I'm going back to therapy. I have a session this coming Wednesday, group therapy specifically for people who have dealt with domestic violence. And then on Friday, I'm meeting my individual solo session therapist for the first time. And she specializes in trauma and abuse and PTSD and domestic violence and relationship issues, because that's another thing, too. It's been a little over 3 years since that relationship ended. I've completely gone off the scene when it comes to meeting people, when it comes to having romantic relationships, when it comes to intimacy, all of that. And I'm still scared that I will find someone who was like my ex and I will be in that situation again. I'm very self aware that there's a sense of hyper dependence on my end, that I would rather isolate myself and not even try to put myself out there than to do it. And that's not healthy. So, yeah, your girl is very, taking accountability for my own shit that I have been putting off on dealing with. And it's time for me to work on my shit. So, of course, I'll take you guys on that journey as well. But yeah, I really just wanted to end this conversation on a more positive note, because your girl was fired up. Your girl was like this. I was like, "Urgh," so fucking angry when all this transpired over this past weekend. But the last thing I want to say is that, like this gentleman said in the TikTok video, Cassie's pain will not go in vain. And this coming to the forefront, as unfortunate and as triggering as it is, there is a purpose behind all of this. And I really hope that this not only starts the conversation, but continues the conversation for years to come and inspires so many women, specifically for this episode, to use your voice, to ask for help, to know that you don't need to go through this alone, and to take your power back, because you absolutely can. It is a journey. It is a lifelong journey. Let's put it at that, because as you guys can see right here, there's never ending levels of healing. It is possible for you to turn your pain into your purpose. And I hope that being a listener of my own experience, it inspires you to be like, well, if she did it, I can too. And know that you absolutely can. And you have one of the biggest cheerleaders in me in your corner. And I'm just sending you so much love and light and healing. And you got this, babe. You got this. I'm so proud of myself for making it through this episode without crying. I really hope you guys were able to take away some sort of message in this episode. I hope I was able to articulate it in a way that was productive and conducive to your own healing. Of course, I had to get the bad vibes out of the way first, but you know how I do. We never want to leave this episode feeling dark and heavy. I want you guys to feel inspired and motivated, and I know somebody needed to hear this message today. So, with that being said, I love you guys so, so much. Please don't forget to leave a rating and review. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. Leave a 5-star rating. If you're a hater, get the fuck out of here. You don't belong here, right? And that's another thing before I hop off here. All the stuff that I was saying online, I lost like 20 followers. And I'm like, good, get the fuck out of here. If you're not on the same wavelength as me when it comes to that asshole, when it comes to advocacy, when it comes to speaking out for victims and survivors, you don't belong here. She doesn't even go here. If you know, you know, right? And I'm not afraid. I'm like, good, get the fuck out of here. You don't belong here. I don't want you in my space. Okay? So let that be a reminder. Don't be afraid to fucking speak up. Okay? There's people out there who are going to cheer you on, and I know my community has my back. And I love you guys so much for always rocking with your girl. So, that being said, this is your girl Leanne of the Watch Us Thrive podcast. Again, make sure you leave a rating and review. And until next time, I'm sending you all my love, light, and healing.